Heroes About to Brawl, the boxing podcast from Manchester, England. This show is brought to you by Dent and Chutney, and today we'll be focusing on a big, detailed review of the most recent UFC event 249. Chutney, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Den. I've watched some sport.
I know.
Watched
weird,
lots of sport. Hours of it, in fact.
It was good, wasn't it, to savor every minute of it? There was no fast forwarding from me. It was all like...
Oh, really? No, I certainly did fast forwarding.
Did you?
But I watched everything, watched the prelims. The early prelims we didn't get, though, on BT Sport.
No, we're shooting on Fight Pass.
Oh, okay, of course it is, yeah.
Right,
So I've not seen those.
Pass.
I've not seen those, unfortunately.
No.
But I've seen everything else. Well, I guess I'll let you take it from here.
Let's start from the top. In the lightweight division, in the interim title, was up for grabs. Tony Ferguson fighting Justin Gaethje. We both predicted on Thursday previous show that Tony would win. I think we said within the distance as well. And we were both wrong, weren't we?
We were both wrong. And I had an accumulator on. I had 6 fights on my accumulator. And all of them came in, cheering as each result came in. And then Tony just doesn't put up much of a fight at all by the end of it.
Ooh,
that might be a bit harsh.
Yeah,
might be a bit harsh, but well, what did you think?
Well, so I'll just recap. Justin Gaethje won by stoppage in the 5th round, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think he's won probably all 4 rounds. There was one closer on the 2nd round where he got dropped right at the buzzer, but I think he could probably stake a claim to being 4 rounds to 0 going into that last round. And he pulverized him, didn't he? Ferguson just couldn't. Ferguson's chin was unbelievable, but he got tested over and over again, and Gaethje just kept walking through everything that Tony hit threw at him, and a deserved winner.
Yeah, I think Tony was not the best Tony Ferguson we've seen, but that was definitely the best Justin Gaethje we've seen. So you can't take away from his performance, and he had his number really. Tony Ferguson had no answer for that big left hook, which was not a haymaker. It was just a well-placed, powerful left hook. But it wasn't only that. It was the backhand counters from Gaethje. It was the leg kicks.
Really technical. Really technical.
It was a very good performance. And sorry about the noise. But
our fans.
Oh wait. Sorry about that. The dog wanted to get out. A great performance from Justin Gaethje. Really impressed me. I know he has improved. I know he is not the same fighter that came to the UFC that was just throwing these big blows and silly backflips and stuff. He's still got a lot of that in him, but not when he's fighting.
He said that. I don't know if you listen to the post-fight interview with Rogan, and he sort of confessed that he was going into fights just wanting to enjoy them, and now he's got to this level. He said he can't go into a fight just wanting to enjoy it because he'll just get caught in a fist fight, I should say.
Yeah,
and you could tell that today he was definitely a lot more technical, low leg kicks on Ferguson.
Yeah,
it wasn't just haymakers, was it? Like you said, it was quite
not at all.
Quite good, crisp boxing. And Ferguson, you've got a feel for him. He's undefeated. He was undefeated in 12 fights. I think it was the longest lightweight winning streak, and he's blown it at the final hurdle when he could have been fighting Khabib again.
He has, and you'd also wonder how that particular Tony Ferguson would have done against Khabib. So it was Khabib last night, or this morning to us. How do you think he would have done?
I think Khabib would have just... Well, it's hard to say because Ferguson was beaten up in a standing war last night, where that wouldn't have been the same type of fight versus Khabib, because Khabib wouldn't have stood with him for 5 rounds. I think
sorry.
I was just going to say, it's quite interesting to think that Ferguson cut weight twice in a fortnight. We touched on that last week, and whether that would have had an impact on him. He just didn't look.
Feel like it did.
You don't feel like it did?
He wasn't fatigued. His stamina cardio.
His stamina was there, but he
is legendary.
He wasn't sharp, though, was he? He wasn't sharp. He wasn't crisp. He got hit a lot. He
always gets hit a lot, and that was one of my concerns when he was going to be fighting Justin Gaethje. But I thought that Gaethje would be a bit wilder, and Ferguson would still get the better of him and just chip away over the 5 rounds. It was the opposite, really.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way I thought the fight would go. Justin Gaethje, then interim champion. They tried to put the belt around his waist, and he was having none of it. What did you see that? He said, "I'll wait till the real one comes."
Yeah, and he wants that title fight, and like you say, he's taking it a lot more seriously now. Knows he can be champion, and he could be. I think he's actually, based on what I saw last night, he's a really good matchup for Khabib. Really good.
Yeah,
he's got the wrestling, he's got the power.
The thing I'm not sure that whether he's got is once, because he will go on, he will be taken down at some point. It's whether he can get back up. And we haven't really seen that yet. Because once Khabib gets you down, very few people get back up, and then you're usually on your back for 5 minutes in the round. And I think the key will be whether he can get back up. I'm not saying he can't. I'm sure, but that's the key for me.
Yeah, well, that'll be very interesting to see.
Apparently, summertime. Khabib said he's ready to go once a fight in the summer. Gaethje came out of that relatively unscathed, obviously as unscathed as you can do in a 5-round fight, but he didn't look like he was in too much of a bad way.
I agree with that entirely. So summer shouldn't be a problem for him if all goes well in terms of travel restrictions and everything else.
Wonder what will happen with Tony now, whether they'll try and line him up maybe against McGregor, or he'll just have to work his way back up to the top again.
Is that what you think the next stop might be?
Possibly. I think Conor will take whatever he thinks he'll make the most money out of. There was interesting dialogue over the weekend about whether McGregor will be able to fight in current climate. I think he's up for it, but the UFC don't want to lose out on a $15 million gate, which obviously they'd have to give up with having no fans in an arena.
True, and in terms of gates, and Dana was even saying, I don't know if you saw the media scrum, but he was saying that he really doesn't want to miss out on that Conor gate.
Yeah, because he said you could earn 15 to 18 million on the McGregor gate, and I'm sure McGregor doesn't want to give up on that either.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the rankings now in lightweight, and as always, it's just a killer division.
Yeah.
But Tony, if he wants to make his way back up there, I mean, he's going to have to be fighting fighters like Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira.
Hooker would be a great fight.
It would be. It would be a real test for Hooker. But it could easily be one of those, or it could be Poirier.
Yeah, maybe Dustin. That'd be a good fight. Those two, I don't think they've fought before, so that'd be a great fight. And
the fights are there. The fights are there, and the route back is there as well.
It's a shame. I felt sorry for him, but it seems to have been through a lot, Ferguson, by all accounts, over the last 12 months, 18 months.
Certainly has. And he's 36 years old, so he's no spring chicken. He's same age as me, unfortunately.
Like you said, he's quite battle worn. He does get hit. So
yeah, I'm just looking at his. The people he's fought over time is Cerrone, Pettis, Kevin Lee, Dos Anjos, Lando Venata, Edson Barboza, Josh Thompson, Gleason T. I mean, the list goes on. And these are all killers. But for all of these, in fact, all of his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think last 9 fights, he's either had performance or fight of the night.
Maybe he was due a bad fight. Then it's just, unfortunately, it's come at the ultimate.
It didn't look like the Tony Ferguson that we know. Even after that, was it the last one that got stopped early? Was it Cerrone?
He fought Pettis last, I think.
No, Cerrone, the one that got stopped early. I swear it did. Yeah, doctor stoppage. It was the last one. Pettis was before that, the corner stoppage.
Right. Yeah, one of those. So Gaethje's the interim champion. Will be fighting Khabib in the summer. Something to look forward to. Probably behind closed doors.
Do you see Ferguson push Gaethje away at the end?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
No, it's just composing himself really, and then he was all right
like
afterwards, wasn't he?
I never I don't like when a fighter's just won and then they're all swarming over the guy they've just beaten. It's like, just give the guy a second. And I know it's most of the time it's out of respect, and it's like, but there's just sometimes you just need to leave the person alone.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to mention in this fight? Did you have him winning every round, Gaethje?
Like I say, the one where he dropped it, you could have given it to Ferguson, but it's academic now, really, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was just, I think it was just a sign of how dominant he was that he managed to win 4 rounds against Ferguson. Impressive.
Yeah, I'm just, I am honestly looking forward to Gaethje and Khabib now, and my mind has quickly moved on to that after waiting so long for Ferguson Khabib, a fight which might never happen now. In fact, I think it's a very good chance that will never happen. But this is a great replacement. I think it's a really good challenge for Khabib. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'd be really interested to know what kind of training Gaethje would be doing for that. But it may well be getting back up. His takedown defense is probably already there.
Because he was quite a high level wrestler, I believe, wasn't he? From an amateur
college wrestler. Yeah. But yeah, high level. Let's have a look.
The trouble is with against Khabib is once you're on your back, you're in trouble. Because I'm sure he could proactively wrestle against Khabib.
Yeah, NCAA Division 1 All-American.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, so that's the top of the top in terms of amateur wrestling.
Well, it's not, is it? It's not
in America.
But yeah.
No, in American college sports, you can't get
anywhere. Yeah.
Right, so fucking hell. That's probably then Khabib's. Probably, I have to check his record, but it'd probably be his most high-profile wrestler, he'll have thought, Khabib, in terms of ability.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I think so, yeah. I'll have to look that up.
Check his record.
Let's have a little look, shall we?
Why not?
Khabib. God, his record's so good, isn't it? Dustin's got a bit of wrestling background, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he was NCAA. I could be wrong. I don't think it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, there is. No, he's not really fought that good a wrestler before. Actually, this will be the highest standard.
And I suppose that's why Gaethje's been so able to knock people out, because he's not scared about being taken down. So he could just feel comfortable swinging, and then having the ability to even not be taken down, or if he does, get straight back up. So
maybe, I mean, it's not unusual for people with a very good ground game you don't really get to see it because they develop this very good stand-up game.
Yep.
Big Country, black belt, BJJ. Who else? Verdun doesn't go on the floor that much.
That's someone we'll come to in a bit.
But yeah, we'll come to him.
So, as we're talking about great wrestlers, should we move on to the co-main event of the night?
Let's do it. So,
in the co-main, in the bantamweight division for the title, Dominic Cruz came back after 2.5 years, and he fought Triple C, as he's now named, Henry Cejudo. I think we both picked Cejudo to win this fight, and he duly did in the second round. Relatively controversial stoppage. We'll come on to that in a second. Trenton, you mentioned that you had you fast-forwarded elements of the show, and I was wondering whether you fast-forwarded the post-match interview with Cejudo.
No, I didn't.
Right, okay. Because when I watched it, I thought, before we talk about the fight, his announcement right at the end of the interview that he's retired. That really took me by surprise.
Yeah. I think the same as Joe Rogan. I took it with a pinch of salt.
Do you reckon?
The smirk on Joe Rogan's face, like, yeah, mate. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure calling you fights. See you later.
No, he did. He just like straight up.
It wasn't. With other guys, it's like, well, if this really is it, then it's been an absolute pleasure watching your fights. You're a legend of the sport, and that's how he sees them up.
Yeah.
Just says, "Oh, it's been a pleasure calling you fights. See you later."
And I suppose,
it was just more cringe, I think.
I suppose having no crowd reaction doesn't help with that type of thing. Because if he announces retirement, then it'd be more of a pop.
Yeah, and what way to do it when there's not even a crowd there?
I was just waiting for him to take his gloves off and put them on and like a proper old school wrestler just walk out. I mean, you can see it coming back, can't you?
Yeah, of course. He's 33 years old.
Yeah, but his logic remains solid that he wants to. So he said he wants to leave on a high, unbeaten recently. Although he has lost once before, I think, as dual weight champion in the UFC, and it was a very impressive performance versus Cruz, don't you think?
It was. He did a great job with those leg kicks. It did slow. He's lost twice. He lost to Joseph Benavidez straight after Demetrius Johnson.
Did he?
Yeah, but won the last 6 fights and some very impressive opponents.
Yeah, he's really gone on it. I think that loss versus Benavidez was quite close from memory, but yeah.
But the right fight with Cruz, take his legs out. I think one of the commentators, can't remember who, was saying that he was driving through those legs like to take both out at the same time.
Both of them, wasn't it? Because there was a shot, wasn't it, when he jumped out, he missed the first leg. Cejudo missed the first leg and got the Cruz's second leg.
Cruz still had his movement and was actually improving during the fight, though.
Yeah.
And he moves his head round so much, and it's very difficult to predict. But Cejudo, fair play to him, did predict the head movement, landed a great knee on the forehead of Dominic Cruz. Cruz went down. He's on all fours. He's trying to get back up. Cejudo planted about 11 unanswered shots to his head.
Yeah.
And with great accuracy, to be fair, in moving difficult situation. And as Cruz is trying to get up, and of course struggling with these strikes going on, the referee stops it.
Yep.
I think it was. I think it's cut and dry, really premature.
Yeah.
I think it was very. I think it was very poor from the ref. Very poor.
I feel like he should have either stopped it as soon as the strike 3 and 4 of those 11 were hitting, or just let it run out, because he stopped it at entirely the wrong time. It looked as though Cruz had got some relative composure in his body, in his actions within his body, and been able to get back up. And then he jumped in. It's like, oh, he could have just...
The punches didn't look like they were doing significant damage.
No, his head wasn't rocking. Yeah, like Cruz's head wasn't rocking back.
It looked like they were just making it more difficult for him to get up.
Yeah.
Which he might have done, he might not have done, but we'll never know now. And
I would have more sympathy. Go on, sorry.
But well, Cruz was saying afterwards, because he was interviewed afterwards, saying, I told the referee before the fight, don't stop the fight unless I'm out.
Yeah.
Now, that is something to say to a referee, isn't it? Like knowing that that's a possibility and dealing with it in your head already made that plan. He's such an interesting, intelligent fighter, Dominic Cruz. Highest fight IQ, probably anyone in the UFC. And, well, maybe not, certainly up there, though. But it's, of course, it doesn't matter what he says to the referee. It's up to the referee when he stops it. And if he's not intelligently defending himself, which perhaps he wasn't defending himself as such, but he was trying to get up.
Yeah.
If he's curled up in a ball, exactly, yeah. If he's curled up in a ball, turtling, then I'd understand it. But he was trying to get up. It was poor. It's really poor.
I would have had more sympathy for the referee if he'd stopped the fight as soon as Cruz hit the ground off that knee. I think there'd be more of a chance to say that was a fair stoppage at that point. But because he let him get up and show some signs of recovery, you've got to let the action play out, even if it was just a few more seconds to see what Cejudo did to him against the cage.
Well, I think he'd say they were the few more seconds. I think that's what he'd say. He's wrong, but I think that's what the referee would say.
Cruz wasn't very happy. I think I've seen something online that he said the referee smelt of alcohol and cigarettes. It's like,
really?
And I'm not sure if that's a case of saying whether he did actually smell of that, or whether he's just saying someone in that type of shape who probably likes cigarettes and alcohol shouldn't be refereeing my type of fight. But I saw it on Twitter.
That's a silly thing to say. You wouldn't get away with that in the Premier League, would you?
Well, you get away with a lot worse, to be fair, at the moment in time.
Cruz. What should I search?
Cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah. Cigarettes.
He said at the end that if it wasn't for the way it went, he could have been the one retiring after that fight. Maybe that was in the back of his mind after such a long layoff. Go out as a champion.
Yeah. He says he thinks the referee smelled like cigarettes and alcohol.
Right, so he was being literal.
I think so, yeah. I'm not getting it direct here, but that's
yeah.
To Megan O'Leary, the ringside reporter.
Big shame. I like Cruz, but
yeah, and he was getting an opportunity there, which he didn't necessarily deserve. That division has a number of people in line waiting to have a crack at Cejudo, including Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen.
Well, I think the first two names you mentioned there won't be looking to fight Cejudo. They'll be looking for the title now.
Well, perhaps so, yeah, perhaps.
That'll be there. So, well, actually, Dana White's come out and said that it'll definitely be Peter Yan, and the opponent yet to be decided, and it'll be happening
for the title,
soon, apparently.
So, Cejudo has left two divisions without a champion. The first one being flyweight, which he relinquished the belt, but the title fight went wrong, and we won't go into that. So there's no champion at the moment.
Doesn't look good for that division, though, does it?
Flyweight. I guess not. I guess not. And it's looking ugly on the rankings without someone there as the champion. I mean, there's some talent in there, though.
Just doesn't draw the eyeballs, though, does it? Never.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think Cejudo knew that as well. But if this is the end of his career, it's certainly been quite an interesting one. I mean, he's not had that many fights overall. I mean, he's only had 18 fights. But beating the likes of Demetrius Johnson in a rematch after looking very dodgy at the start with losing control of his ankle. Beating TJ Dillashaw very impressively to win the... sorry, he didn't win it. He... no, that was at flyweight again, wasn't it? So he beat the then bantamweight champion, Dillashaw, and became the bantamweight champion after that by beating Marlon Moraes, and now defeated one of the best-known names in the sport, Dominic Cruz. I mean, good career. Yeah,
that's why he's going out on top. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
I know you're not his biggest fan, but I love the cringe. I think it's good. Nice for some gimmicks.
Well, it's a bit of fun, something to talk about. It's just the gimmicks are just so weird. They don't make sense. They so often don't make sense. I'm not even sure if that's part of it.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, it is, isn't it? And I think, although I've got more belief in his gimmicks than people like Colby. I think he plays it better than him. I think he's a little bit more believable.
So what to say about that? Really?
So, moving on to the fight before the co-main event.
Can I just ask, do you think he'll stay retired?
Yeah. Well, at least for the next 18 months.
Right. So, no.
I think you can never say no, can you? So, but I think his intention at the moment is not to come back. I don't think this is a ruse. I don't think
if he had to bet whether or not he'd come back.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say no. Okay. Just to be contrary. He probably will come back, but I hope he doesn't. He might go back too.
He probably will. So you're saying that he will then?
No, I'm betting.
Anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry that's the question.
So the shortest fight of the night between the two biggest men, over in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So while we're talking about Justin Gaethje and his controlled performance, no haymakers.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou's performance against Jairzinho Rosenstruck was the opposite. Knocked him out in 20 seconds.
Right.
Came out full swinging. Francis Ngannou, if anyone listening or watching does not know who he is, look him up. He is terrifying. And he just came out swinging. He missed with pretty much every shot until one connected.
And then the
hit him with one more.
The left hook just...
Yeah. There must have been about 10 punches thrown until the real knockout blow. And, and only two of them connected. But wow. What?
It looked like he killed him. The lights were out. He just sat on the floor. I thought,
and I was worried.
He was out for a long way. A long time, I should say.
I mean, he got at least one more in when he didn't have to.
Before the
I'm not blaming him. Yeah, the referee was too far away from the action, but it's just the way sometimes.
Well, fucking hell, it was just so fast as well.
Yeah. Fortunately, because he was just throwing, I guess, kind of recklessly. When Rosenstruck was on the ground, he still wasn't connecting. Fortunately, because he was knocked out cold, and the referee stopped it. What's to say about that fight? What is it to say?
Well, there's not much really. His effort. He hasn't got an easy. He hasn't got a fight lined up, to be honest. Now with DC and Miocic dancing around the handbags, is a bit of a gap there in terms of who could fight next.
If Miocic won't fight, Cormier is the man for Ngannou, I think.
Yeah, but if Cormier wants it,
I'm not sure he does.
I think Cormier would only do it if the title was on. If it was an interim title.
Maybe.
They said that on the commentary, didn't they? They said something like, "Oh, DC, how would you deal with that?" DC said, "I'm not afraid. I'll take him down straight away." He wouldn't have let the punches even land. So obviously.
Exactly. Take him down. Hold on tight. It was interesting, the commentary, because the fighters could hear it.
Yeah, apparently so.
And you could actually hear a bit of an echo sometimes when Cormier got excited about things. It really gave a different perspective to the whole thing. How did you find lack of crowd and stuff like that?
Do you know what? It didn't really bother me. It didn't feel as sort of vacant as some of the a tough kind of show. I think it was there was production there and lights, and it was dark, so you couldn't even see if there's an empty crowd there or not. It's probably just the reactions of when a certain knockout happens, or when people are getting interviewed, you miss the buzz of the crowd. But when it actually came down to the fights, I didn't mind it. You didn't have the fucking usual dicks in the background booing or making Ric Flair woo noises.
Yeah.
So it was all right.
It was the fighters can hear the commentators. And without the crowd, I feel like it gives you a better perspective of what's going on. You don't react.
You're focusing more on it. Yeah, you're focusing more on the actual fight, aren't you?
So, like Joe Rogan will get excited about someone connecting and think, "Oh, he's rocked him" or something like that. When really, it's not really done anything. And you might get a bit carried away if the crowd does as well.
Yeah.
But less of a problem in this.
Yeah.
It's easier to work out who's winning the fight.
Little heathen Jeremy Stephens. I think we had him down as I think we both probably predicted he'd lose this fight. I didn't see him losing by knockout with Calvin Kattar knocked him out. I think it was in the second round. Was it?
I think we both had Kattar's decision.
Second round. Kattar looked good. It was a bit sloppy in the first round, and then towards the back end of the first round, he started to take control. In the second round, he just looked fantastic.
Yeah, his boxing is excellent. Very good.
That elbow,
clinical.
When came in, it was like that Mark Munoz when it happened to Munoz versus Weidman a while ago. And then when he was on the floor, he got his forehead ripped open with another elbow. Very
impressive from Kattar. Really took it to Jeremy Stephens, who is not having the best time. It's very interesting in that division, really.
That was Stephens' 33rd UFC fight.
Yeah, it's been around a long time. Yeah, trains with Dominic Cruz as well. So both of them.
So they're both
losing.
It was a shame. you've got to think that the lad now is going to be pushing up that division and looking for some big scalp soon.
Cater.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that loss to Zabit took him back a bit. I think these are up-to-date rankings. And Cater is 9th in the rankings.
I think they'll probably be public. Oh, already after yesterday?
Yeah, I might be wrong there. I'm not sure if it has updated.
I think it's usually the 24 hours later, but either way, I think he was 8th or 9th around there.
Yeah, sorry, it's not done.
He was ranked higher than Stevens. I do remember that all lower.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Well, Stevens is 7th, and Cater's 9th.
Yeah.
So they may well swap places. Yeah.
Good fight though. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a coming of age fight. It's a big name on his resume.
Yeah.
The first fight of the main event was another fight between two big boys, Greg Hardy versus De Castro.
Oh right, didn't know.
Heavyweight division.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
So it was a good fight. I thought it was a 3-round decision. I should have said 3-round decision, which I probably didn't see coming. I thought there would have been a finish between the two big boys. To Hardy, sorry, yeah. It's a good fight. I think the athleticism of Hardy shone through, although in the first round I thought he was going to be in trouble with his leg because De Castro threw some solid leg kicks, and Hardy's left leg was buckling a fair bit.
Yeah.
De Castro probably ran out of gas, second, third round.
Yeah, he didn't really look like he did, and I'm not
he wasn't
entirely
throwing
sure.
Anything, was he?
I wasn't entirely sure why he would have run out of gas, but he seemed to. He stopped throwing. Yeah, he's a very big boy, big belly on him as well.
Yeah.
I was worried he couldn't get a t-shirt on at the end over the belly, but I was surprised how much he slowed down. But what I was really surprised by was Greg Hardy's technique. Good boxing, good movement, good counters. His chin's a bit high, but other than that, retreated well because De Castro can make up the ground very quickly and hit very hard when he gets there.
Isn't he?
Yeah. And Hardy dealt with that really well. I was very impressed.
Yeah. Might be time for Hardy to step up now and fight someone in the top 15, a ranked opponent. I think that's his 6th
UFC fought Volkov, didn't he, last time?
Oh, true. Yeah. Well, now it's time to.
Bit of a last-minute change, but he kind of got thrown in the deep end a bit there. But yeah, maybe time to move him with someone perhaps who you can
some selective matchmaking.
Well, yeah, you got to be careful with these things. If you're not gonna protect him anymore, then don't protect him. But I mean, if we look at the heavyweight division here down at the bottom,
there's no marks in that.
Yeah, aren't there? So yeah, give him one of those.
You probably just don't want someone who's going to take him down and either wrestle or submit him.
Yeah,
you just want some slugger.
Yeah, like Ivanov.
So
remember that fight with Junior Dos Santos?
Yeah,
he's got some chin on him.
So maybe something like that. Let Hardy get some more rounds in him, but he's obviously a prized horse that the UFC want to flog, isn't he?
Yeah.
Put him on the first fight of the main card on the first pay-per-view in about 2.5 months. So that leads us on to the prelims and the headline prelim event, which is usually the ones on Fox Sport or whatever. It was a fight we're both looking forward to, even though both fighters coming off losing streaks. Donald Cerrone fought Anthony Pettis and lost in a 3-round decision. What do you make of this?
Well, I predicted Pettis to win. I expected, on our predictions that we did, and we have to go through these at some point. I had him stopping Cowboy, but really, when it came down to it, watching the fight, I had Cowboy with the decision.
Did you?
Yeah, did you not?
I've put in my notes Pettis points, but close, and that's the way it turned out.
No, I had a convincing win.
Slower.
I had a
Really?
convincing win. Yeah, so I was disappointed with the judges there. There was
It was a
a couple
unanimous
of
decision.
fights. Yeah, no, yeah. There's a couple of fights where I
Mm.
was disappointed with the judges. But we can come on to that. We will come on to that.
Yep. So I think it was a bit of a showcase fight, wasn't it? It was good, but it was just the kind of level these two guys are probably at now. In terms of
It's what they wanted on the
big name
to
fights.
headline the ESPN prelim card. They always like at least one high-profile fighter. Here they've got two, and they expected a bit of a stand and bang. But pretty good fight. Pretty good performances from both. I thought Pettis was not the best we've seen. Far from it, in fact, and didn't deserve to win that fight.
What you're going to do with Cerrone now? He needs to be wrapped up in cotton wool for a bit and have a bit of a rest, doesn't he?
Yeah, I imagine he'll
Not
be
saying
on.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, he'll probably be on the card next week.
Fight on Wednesday night.
Yeah, you just don't know. Just don't know with him. I didn't expect him to be on this one, but I should have.
See what happens with those two. Fabricio Verdum returned.
This was an interesting fight.
Yeah, Verdum came back after 2 and a bit years out for drugs, wasn't it, basically? He looked noticeably more loose around the guts area, I'd say. Didn't look as,
He's always had a bit older, hasn't he?
He has, but I think he was a bit, maybe a bit more in the breadbasket. Good fight, but he lost on points.
Those carbs, mate.
Yeah.
42 years old, so he's missed 2 important years there. He lost on points
old
against
men, weren't
they? Yeah, against Alexei Olenek, the Brawl constrictor.
He looked good, didn't he, physically?
Yeah, two submission specialists. Most of the fight was on the feet, and he went in too early trying to stop Verdum when he thought he had him and just cornered him and started pelting him with shots. He wasted a lot of energy there. He was in pretty good shape, but that really wore him out.
I think Verdum's got form for sort of rope-a-dope, get hit, blag, and then strike back. He didn't really do that, to be fair, this time. But I thought he'd come out in the second round after taking a bit of a beating and lay it on him a bit. But that didn't really happen until the third round.
Yeah, well, something we don't see so much is the big boys on the floor scrambling.
It was great. Really enjoyed that.
And it was good to watch 2 excellent ground fighters. And Verdum was trying to get the Kimura, trying to get an armbar. It must be
terrifying if you've got a 18 stone man on top of you, can just control anything you do.
Well, I fancied him getting that armbar because he was in great position for it.
Yeah.
And Olenek's submission defense is brilliant. It's absolutely
really
brilliant.
Good.
Yeah, really impressive. It was a good fight. It's a good fight. That
I was expecting it to be over when he went to the ground and he had 4.5 minutes to try and do something. He mounted him. He had him just about to land an armbar. And
immediately looked at the clock.
Yeah.
They're a bit greasy at that point.
It'd be interesting with what Verdum decides to do now. If he starts to dedicate himself and try and make a final run, or if he'll just ease off into the sunset. I'd like to see Verdum back in again pretty soon and see what he can do. I think he's a great fighter. And Ollie now is he could be rising up the division and get another big name to fight, especially the shape he was in.
Who? Sorry, Olenek.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly could. Let's have another look at these rankings, shall we? So he's at number 12. Certainly gives him argument to jump up and fight someone a bit higher there. People like Derek Lewis, JDS, Curtis Blades, none of these fought for a while, so certainly room to have a crack.
Throw him in there against Rosenstruik after he recovers, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Certainly someone in the top 10 anyway.
Definitely. So previous to that fight was the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson, and she lost versus Carla Esparza in a 3-round fight. It wasn't much of a great fight. I actually watched it all, which I don't usually do with all the women's fights.
I think you need to start keeping that to yourself.
I just put it on, not on fast forward, just forward a tiny bit. But it wasn't very good. She lost. It was a split decision, actually. One judge gave Waterson 3 rounds And she was like, "What the fuck is that about?" And she lost 2 rounds to 1, 2 decisions.
Well, it was quite a close fight. So, it's not.
She didn't
too
win 3
crazy
rounds,
to
though.
No, she didn't win 3 rounds.
No.
But she won for me. I think it was another poor decision from the judges.
You think Waterson won?
Yeah, do you not? Did you not?
No, I thought Sparza controlled it.
Really?
Yeah,
not at all. She got a few punches in, never did anything about it when she did. And it was all about Waterson's kicks. She kept her at legs length the entire fight, almost the entire fight.
I just don't think Waterson did enough. I thought she was just a bit
certainly that argument.
So Sparza will trying to get back up the rankings there. So that's a 2-fight winning, losing skid now. Sorry for Waterson.
I think we both had her to win that as well.
I'll have to get my post-it notes out. I don't think I did that well in my predictions.
No, I didn't.
We'll do that after this fight now.
Yeah, sure.
Vincent Luque versus Nico Price.
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Fucking great fight.
Yeah, one of the best ones of the night, this.
I put it fight of the night, ? So Vicente Luque won by TKO Dr. Stoppage in the 3rd round. Fucking hell, these boys can bang, can't they?
They really can. Luque, I mean, there's arguments to say that he fought the wrong fight. He's a better technical fighter than Price, Nico Price.
Yeah.
But just stood in front of him far too much. Yes, he was looking for the counter, but you don't have to stand right toe to toe with him the whole fight looking for it. But regardless, did really well to keep out of Price's range just about, and a great finish with a little roll and an overhand left, I think it was.
The left hook that dropped him,
over the top of Price's right arm. Dropped him down. It was great. And then the doctor stopped it after that, which was fine. Because it was still a good run. It was a very bad cut that he received.
Yeah, so really impressed with that fight. Luque, like you said, definitely the more technical of the fighters, and he'll be looking to fight a bigger name now in the next event.
Yeah, Price was too reckless.
Yeah. All in all, it was a good event, wasn't it?
Really good. Really, I mean, there was the early card, which we've not seen yet. Bryce Mitchell defeated Charles Rosa. Bryce Mitchell has squirrel soup or something like that. He's the guy who one of his testicles got ripped out. Which is a great story. You should look it up. It's very funny. Ryan Spann beat Sam Alvey in the curtain jerker of the night. Sam Alvey I think he's lost 6 of his last 9. Yeah, 6 of his last 9 he's lost. And not necessarily to the best opposition.
We'd lost a fight due to COVID-19, didn't we? Was it on the day of the fight or the evening before?
We're not talking about
Souza. Jacare Souza got a positive test from his COVID-19 test, so he had to step away, as did Uriah Hall, obviously. I think his cornermen were diagnosed with it also.
Jacare Souza, who turned up to the event, the UFC being fully aware that he'd recently had contact with a family member who has COVID-19, still allowed him to weigh in and everything else. Fist bumped Dana at the weigh-ins. Had a face-to-face chat with Verdum, and had the weakest looking face mask on. It's just what was he thinking? What was he thinking? And what were they thinking? Very poor, very poor. And it remains to be seen what happens now. We've heard that he had it, but what about UFC staff? I've got a feeling that they're just not telling us about them. And it remains to be seen what happens in 2 or 3 weeks' time when people start showing symptoms. And these tests, they're not 100% reliable either. I'm surprised there weren't more positive tests, because they said they were testing throughout, but the results might be coming back today.
Well, and there's another 2 events coming up, isn't there? So I think Dana White said there'd be 1,200, in excess of 1,200 tests over the week period. So there's definitely going to be more than one positive.
Well, let's see. I mean, it was irresponsible to hold the event, but they did, and it seemed like they were doing most things right. But that was very disappointing to hear.
Yeah, that one seemed to really slip through.
Did you see our president?
Yeah, I did right at the beginning. They showed him in the UK anyway. Only the beginning of the prelim show. They didn't show him at the beginning of the pay-per-view, which I thought was a bit surprising. Maybe that was just an editing thing. But yeah, I did see him praising Dana White and USC.
Yeah, he said, "Get sports leagues back." Well, that sounds like a terrible idea, but anyway. He said, "Congratulations, Dana White, UFC." What?
Yeah, Dana White, UFC.
We're going to have a big match.
Yeah, match. Yeah.
But this is a guy who's a fan of the sport. He said owed some of affliction, didn't he?
Yeah, he said that you can see where I am, the Great White House behind me, and you couldn't see anything behind him. Is that what you're fucking talking about, you idiot?
Yeah, he's a very strange man.
Have you got your predictions to hand?
I do, yeah.
Should we do a point for the winner and a point for the method?
Yeah.
Okay, starting from the bottom, so we can't get any points for the Uriah Hall fight, obviously.
Yeah. So Waterson.
Waterson points, so I got no points there.
Yeah, same. You're going to write this down. You can keep score.
Yeah. Verdun finish I put, so no points for me.
Olenek submission I had, so 1 point.
So 1 for Chetney. Pettis KO finish, nothing for me.
Same.
Hardy finish.
Same.
Cater points.
I know exactly what's going to happen here, but anyway, Cater points, yeah, same.
What might I put here? Big Franny, first round KO.
Same.
Cejudo finish.
I had Cruz decision here.
Oh, did you? So that's 2 for me. And Ferguson finish.
Yes, same. So I think you win by 1 point, do you?
By a point, yeah. Sorry, mate.
Rubbish. Lost my accumulator, lost that. Lost poker last night. Rubbish.
Right. Anything else you want to tell our listeners and viewers?
They had no statistics.
No, they didn't.
No, and I'm not really sure why. Okay, you don't have to have people in a van outside, but we could have done it from home. We could have counted the number of punches they threw and how many connected, and have an unofficial stat.
That was a bit surprising.
Because the commentators were asking for statistics on, I can't remember which fight, and they were told no stats tonight, boys. And Anik told them.
Right.
Which was another thing that makes it a bit more raw in terms of the viewing experience. It's about what you see. I sometimes I might get distracted while I'm watching a certain round, and then at the end of the round it will say the number of significant strikes by each fighter. Okay, well he can have that round then, and I'll watch the third one and decide who wins from there. Of course, you can't do that in this, which I quite enjoyed the rawness of that.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I look forward to the other events Wednesday, Saturday, I think now.
Well, if they happen.
I'm sure they will, mate.
Well, should we talk about those?
Yep.
So the next event is on the 13th of May. And it is
Wednesday.
Headlined by Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira. And it's a half-decent card. Even the prelims, to be honest. So
decent enough, to be fair. I think
so we've got Anthony Smith, Glover Teixeira in the light heavyweight division, then Ben Rothwell over St. Preux in heavyweight. Over St. Preux's, okay. Yeah, that would be his first heavyweight fight, I think, OSP.
Yep.
Lightweight, we have Alexander Hernandez and Drew Dober. Drew Dober had a big win quite recently, didn't he? Performance of the night in January UFC 246. Ricky Simone versus Ray Borg, and then Carl Roberson and Marvin Vittori. You know, names on there. And you've got Arlovsky and Michael Johnson and Sajara Eubanks in the prelims, and Brian Kelleher. Yeah,
and then the following few days after that, it's Alistair O'Brien's fighting Walt Harris. So we'll have to do a review show on next weekend and get 2 events into one.
We are busy at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah. So this new technology we're doing, it's just like rapid fire.
Yeah, and that's a half decent card as well, yeah. Not as good as the previous one, but yeah, still all right. But, you know, all of these are subject to change. Let's see what happens.
Johnny, is there anything you want to tell our fans? Is there anything you want to tell our fans and listeners before we hit the road?
Yeah, you can find us at FTAB News on Twitter. We've been pretty active the last couple of days, helping you to enjoy.
Some new followers, haven't you?
So UFC 249, some new followers, and some interest from Arnold Allen, perhaps saying he might join us for a show at some point. I'm very hungover. I stayed up too late drinking fancy beers. Find me at Chutney News. You find Den at Braemar Soldier, BRAEMAR Soldier. Email us at ftabpod@hotmail.com. Like, share, review, love us, write to us.
Please.
Tell your friends.
Please.
Yeah, let us know you're listening.
Cheers, listeners.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Go on, what were you going to say?
Nothing important.
Right, so the only thing that's left to say is for those about to brawl,